Most men live their entire lives under a quiet illusion, believing that if they just love hard enough, give generously enough, or stay loyal long enough, they'll finally earn the love they crave. But more often than not, what they get instead is rejection, betrayal, or quiet indifference. Sound familiar? This isn't a modern phenomenon. Nearly 200 years ago, a German philosopher named Arthur Schopenhauer uncovered something few men even today are ready to admit, that what we call love is not some spiritual miracle or soul connection. It's a clever trick, an evolutionary strategy engineered by nature not to fulfill us, but to replicate itself. Schopenhauer didn't sugarcoat reality. He tore the mask off what we romanticize. He said love is not a gift, it's a transaction. A biological high designed to push us toward reproduction. When you feel that burning passion for a woman, when you're sure she's the one that's not your soul speaking, that's your DNA whispering. She'll make strong offspring, cold, yes, but also profoundly liberating if you understand it. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. That obsession, that sense of fate when you meet someone new, that compulsion to sacrifice to prove yourself to win her over. That's not divine alignment. It's a deeply rooted survival program running quietly in the background of your mind. And it's not just men who experience it. Women are running the same program, just with a different script. For men, love often looks like devotion. For women, it's selection. Not based on fairness or even logic, but on status, strength, and value. Not who's nicest, not who sacrifices most, but who offers the best chance at survival and advantage. Schopenhauer wrote, "Love is the ultimate goal of almost all human effort. It is more important than anything else in life." But he didn't say that to romanticize it. He said it to warn us, because that all-consuming chase, the drive to win love at any cost, is also the most effective form of distraction. Look around you. How many men have wrecked their careers, their friendships, their peace of mind, chasing a woman who didn't love them back? How many have sacrificed their values to keep someone who was already halfway out the door? How many have handed over control of their lives just to hold on to that feeling of being wanted? And then it all collapses, often without warning. That passionate relationship fizzles out. The forever you imagined ends in silence or betrayal, and you're left asking, what did I do wrong? The answer might be nothing. You played by the rules you were taught, but the game was rigged from the start. See, men are taught that love is something you earn. Be nice, be generous, be loyal, and eventually you'll be chosen. But women don't fall for effort. They fall for strength. That strength can be financial, social, emotional, or physical, but it has to radiate value. This is why Schopenhauer warned the good guy finishes last. Not because he's bad, but because he misunderstands the game. He's trying to buy what can't be purchased. He's negotiating from weakness, not power. Now, before this starts sounding like bitterness, let's make something clear. This isn't about blaming women. Schopenhauer's message wasn't rooted in hate. It was rooted in clarity. He wasn't trying to destroy love. He was trying to liberate men from their illusions. He wanted us to see love for what it is, not a spiritual prize, but a negotiation. And in any negotiation, if you don't understand the terms, you lose. Every time. The patterns are everywhere if you're willing to see them. On dating apps where a tiny percentage of men get the majority of attention. In courtrooms where commitment is punished instead of protected. In everyday stories of men who gave everything only to be left behind the moment they lost their edge. And yet the world keeps selling us the same script: be good, be vulnerable, be safe. But nature doesn't reward safety. It rewards power, adaptability, and strategy. Schopenhauer's brilliance lies not in being bitter, but in being brave enough to see the system clearly. And once you do, you can stop playing the victim and start playing the game differently. The truth is, women aren't your enemies, but they're not your saviors either. They're human beings running their own biological program just like you. And the sooner you see this, the sooner you can stop chasing and start choosing. Because this isn't really about women at all. It's about you. And what comes next might be the hardest truth to hear, but also the most freeing. Are you ready? So here's the part most men never see coming. You've been taught to be emotionally open, patient, loyal. You've been told that these things will earn you love. That if you just show how different you are, if you care more, try harder, stay longer, you'll be rewarded. But Schopenhauer would laugh at that idea. Not because he thought kindness was weak, but because he knew nature doesn't operate on moral currency. Nature doesn't care how loyal you are. It doesn't care how nice you are. It doesn't even care how much you sacrifice. It only rewards what works: strength, strategy, survival. Here's the brutal truth most men refuse to face. Women are the gatekeepers of reproduction, and nature has given them the power to select the best possible mate. That selection process isn't based on what's fair, it's based on what works. On what feels right in the most ancient biological sense. And this creates an imbalance, one that modern men are not prepared for. From the moment a woman hits puberty, she's offered value by the world. Attention, validation options. Meanwhile, men are told to build their value, to suffer, to climb, to prove themselves worthy. This isn't a social injustice, it's an evolutionary design. Schopenhauer put it this way: women are suited to being the nurses and teachers of our childhood by the very fact that they themselves are childish, frivolous, and short-sighted. Now you might hear that and bristle. But look deeper. He's not insulting women. He's pointing out that their strengths lie in the now: emotional intelligence, social intuition, adaptability, not long-term logic or structured thinking. This present-focused mindset makes women incredibly powerful in emotional arenas. That's where the real game is played. Men fight with action. Women fight with influence. While you're trying to explain your side, she's shifting the emotional tone. While you're thinking you're leading, she's quietly guiding the outcome. It's not a conspiracy. It's biology. Women had to evolve these skills to survive in a world where brute strength wasn't an option. They had to outmaneuver, not overpower. So when modern men enter relationships thinking they're equals in the emotional domain, they're already at a disadvantage. And in today's world, that disadvantage is amplified. Social media has made female attention a global economy. You're no longer competing with the guy in her class or her office. You're competing with hundreds, maybe thousands of men who are liking her photos, sliding into her DMs, validating her constantly. And here's the kicker: most of those men don't even realize they're playing a losing game. They're giving away their energy, their attention, their self-respect, all for a chance at connection. Schopenhauer would have called it what it is: slavery disguised as romance. He wrote, "To be loved, one must not be just, but clever." That's the key. Not desperate. Not overly devoted. Clever. Because while most men are trying to prove themselves worthy, the man who understands female psychology plays a different game entirely. He doesn't chase. He attracts. He doesn't plead. He polarizes. He doesn't make her his purpose. He becomes so purposeful that she has no choice but to orbit around him. Here's where things get dangerous, and where men who don't understand this get broken. Women test. Constantly. They test your confidence, your stability, your leadership, not because they're malicious, but because they have to. Their biology demands certainty. It wants to know, is this man stable, strong, unshakable? These are called compliance tests. frame tests, investment tests, and most men fail them without ever realizing it. You rearrange your entire schedule to meet her once you fail. You fold under her emotional pressure, you fail. You confess your love too soon, you fail. Each time you signal weakness. And once the illusion of strength is gone, so is the attraction. Schopenhauer referred to this as the tyranny of the weak. The subtle, silent way power is transferred not through domination, but through compliance. Here's what most men miss: women don't fall in love with you. They fall in love with how they feel around you. And if you become too available, too agreeable, too eager, you kill the mystery. You kill the edge. You kill the very energy that drew her in to begin with. This is why so many men watch the woman they love become cold, distant, bored. It's not because she's cruel. It's because the part of her designed to seek out the strongest mate no longer feels tested, challenged, or impressed. And here's the part that stings. A woman doesn't owe you loyalty just because you were good to her. She doesn't owe you permanence because you gave her everything. And she definitely doesn't owe you love just because you suffered for it. Because love in her world isn't earned through pain. It's magnetized through power. And this is the turning point. This doesn't mean you become manipulative, or cold, or bitter. It means you wake up. You stop expecting the world or women to reward your suffering. You stop seeing love as something outside of you. You stop bending to tests you didn't even realize you were taking. And once you stop doing these things, something incredible happens. You become dangerous. Not in the way that harms others, but in the way that can no longer be harmed. You see, Schopenhauer didn't just want men to see the game. He wanted them to master it and ultimately transcend it. Because the most powerful man isn't the one who wins the girl. It's the one who doesn't need to play by anyone's rules but his own. And in the next section, that's exactly what we're going to break down: how to stop chasing and start becoming. By now, you're probably starting to see the bigger picture. This isn't just about women. It's not about dating. It's not even about love. What Schopenhauer exposed, what most men still don't want to face, is something deeper. The problem was never women. It was the illusion. The illusion that love is owed to you if you behave. The illusion that suffering earns respect. The illusion that devotion guarantees loyalty. But illusions are dangerous. Because while you chase them, you ignore the truth. And the truth is, this everything you were taught about love, happiness, and your role as a man was designed to keep you weak. Schopenhauer didn't sugarcoat it. He said we forfeit 3/4 of ourselves in order to be like other people. And that's the trap. Most men live in imitation, trying to be the perfect boyfriend, the provider, the nice guy, not realizing that none of these masks are truly respected. Not by women, not by society, and worst of all, not by themselves. But here's the shift. The one that changes everything: you stop playing the role. You start building the man. Because the world doesn't respect sacrifice. It respects results. It respects self-respect. And it respects the man who's moved beyond needing anything outside himself to feel whole. That's the final lesson. And it's not just philosophical. It's practical. Here's how you start. 1. Economic sovereignty. Money doesn't make you a man, but dependency breaks you. When you rely on anyone else, especially women, for your basic needs, you give up leverage. Freedom begins with ownership of your time, your energy, and your income. Schopenhauer put it plainly: money is human happiness in the abstract. It's not about buying things. It's about never needing to beg, never needing to tolerate disrespect, never needing to compromise your integrity for survival. The man who earns his way and owns his path cannot be manipulated. 2. Philosophical depth. The average man floats through life reacting. He doesn't think, he mimics. He doesn't question, he obeys. That's why he's so easy to control. But the exceptional man, the dangerous man, develops depth. He studies human nature. He understands history, psychology, power dynamics. He knows when he's being played, and more importantly, he knows why. Schopenhauer himself was a student of pain, love, illusion, and the mind. And his message was clear: a man who thinks for himself is already free. Because once you know why you're suffering, you can stop pretending it's fate and start seeing it as a choice. 3. Physical mastery. Not just gym selfies, not just a six-pack. Mastery, strength that isn't for show but for self-respect. Discipline that radiates through your posture, your walk, your voice. The body is the most honest reflection of the mind. You can lie with your words, but your frame never lies. When your body is weak, your mind starts to doubt itself. When your body is sharp, your spirit sharpens with it. And here's the twist no one tells you. Once you stop needing women, they come to you. Why? Because you've become what they were looking for all along, even if they can't put it into words. A man with purpose, a man with direction, a man who doesn't need love to survive, and so ironically becomes worthy of it. This is what Schopenhauer meant when he said, "The safest way of not being very miserable is not to expect to be very happy. Not because happiness isn't real, but because chasing it outside yourself guarantees misery." The happiest men aren't the ones who got the girl. They're the ones who became the man. The man who doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't fall into emotional traps. The man who knows, truly knows, that everything he thought he needed was just a reflection of what he hadn't built within himself yet. So here's your choice now. You can keep playing the game blindfolded, hoping to win with the wrong rules. Or you can step back, see it clearly, and build something no woman, no trend, no system can ever take from you. Yourself. Because in the end, this isn't about women. It's about reclaiming your power, your mind, your future. You are not a victim. You are not broken. You were just lied to. And now you know the truth. So build your body. Sharpen your mind. Claim your purpose. And become the kind of man who doesn't wait for permission to be powerful. Because that man doesn't chase love. He attracts the world.